You sit on my CFI. We on it all night. 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 Touchdown! Highlights and rankings. They cover the toughest there in America. Charlotte football insiders. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Or you can catch them on that podcast. All over the state with Hoof, Mount Creek, Myers Park, Audrey Kell, West Charlotte, Olympic, Providence Day, Mountain Island Charter, and so many more. CFI, we on it all night. 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 CFI, we on it all night.
I finally got the transition right. Week 9, I finally got it. But good evening, everybody. Welcome to Between the Lines, our deep dive into Charlotte Metro Area High School football. I am the pet man, Matt Morrow. Between the Lines is the show where we go deeper into the matchups, take a look at the guys who stood out last week, and the big games coming up in this weekend, Week 9. I'm glad to have you here with us. Whether you're watching live or on the playback, you can always find Between the Lines on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. on these same outlets on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We got one comment, and it's our Dudley guy, ironically. The first one here tonight. Good to see you as always, man. But tonight, I wanted to start the show and kind of highlight the Harding Rams. Harding Rams won the Battle of Allegheny, one of the biggest rivalries in the Queen City. 16-7 over the Berry Cardinals this past Friday night, and they did it in comeback fashion, scoring 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and winning a really, really strong defensive-oriented kind of football game. We got 2 guys from Harding. First off, we're going to bring on the Harding Rams head coach, who's done a great job and getting the Rams to play much better football overall this season, and that is head coach Terrence Cunningham. We're going to bring him on the show. Coach, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad you able to take some time out and join us here tonight. So, Battle of Allegheny, man, I saw the trophy in your car. How good does it feel to get that win for your program?
I'm not gonna lie, man. It feels really good, man. I think it was something the team needed, something the school needed, and just the immediate community. Like, we needed that win, and we needed the trophy had been with us, and I have been telling the boys all week. I didn't want to be the coach or the team that had to give it back. So it was a hard-fought game, man. It came down to the wire. I think we kind of, put together a couple good plays, late in the game. In the last 4 minutes, we put together two nice drives and 2 good defensive stops. Got 2 two-point conversions and came through, with the win late.
Absolutely, man. And Coach, you got a fan already. It usually takes a couple minutes, but Miss Lanisha Dowd says you're the first coach to acknowledge Tario at South.
Yeah, that's one of my guys, man. When I was at South Meck, man, I still know a lot of those kids that play over at South Meck. South Meck was a great place for me. Kind of really got my feet wet there at South Meck, and I met a lot of good kids, a lot of good parents and families. So I still kind of celebrate those kids and always wish them well over there at South Meck. Joe and Meesh, Gilliam, man, those are my guys, man. So I still root for South Meck. Yeah,
those are some good guys too. Both Joe and Meesh, man. Who really stood out in the game? I know we got one of those young men we're getting ready to talk to here in just a second, but who really stood out for you guys to get that big win Friday?
I have to say honestly, man, like we had a lot of kids on our defense finally show up and like make some big time plays. Raquavion Young, he's a defensive end for us and a tight end. He stepped up a lot. We had some guys go out late and he had to fill in. He did a really good job at defensive end and tight end. Trenton Bynum has been a playmaker all year. He made a lot of big time plays. Jacob Banks, Zohan McNeil. Zohan's actually leading the conference in interceptions right now. He probably should have had 4, but he's got 3 right now. He should have had 4. His 4th one late in the game. Daniel Carter, he made a huge play. We kind of been waiting for him to show up, you know, and make a huge play, something that he does periodically in practice. And we was just waiting for him to make a big time play, and he finally, you know, hit a stride and made a huge play for us late in the game, and that kind of set us up for our first touchdown. We had a lot of guys, man, step up and make a lot of good plays, man. And you know, they finally again kind of played how I think they can play. Minus a lot of mistakes, man. I think we can play pretty good football, man. We make a lot of mental errors, and that's something I've been trying to clean up all year. But the overall, man, there was a lot of kids that stepped up a lot Friday.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. We got another fan here, Cove Vlogs. I don't know. Maybe you know who that is, Coach. I don't know who that is, but
Knowledge, that's one of my linemen.
oh, okay. Well, nice to see you, Knowledge. Thank you for supporting your coach there.
Shout out to the offensive line, man. The boys, they did some good work in the trenches, man. They kind of pushed us over the edge. I told them that was probably the best game they played as a collective unit all year.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the next young man we'll bring on was a big, you know, kind of I guess what's the word I'm looking for? Not contributor, but recipient of that blocking.
Yeah.
And that is Jamarcus Harrison, running back, and what else does he play, Coach?
He plays D tackle for us.
Running back. See, that's a rare combination. Running back and D tackle.
Yeah.
Boy, for the Harden Rams. Let's bring him on now. How you doing, Jamarcus?
Good. How about you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. So first of all, man, what was it like? Because you piled up, how many was it? 187 rushing yards?
Yeah, 187. Yeah.
So what were you seeing behind your offensive lineman on Friday night?
I just told him get me to the second level and I'm gonna make it happen. Just block for me, give me like 3 seconds, and I'm gonna make it happen for y'all. I'm gonna win this game.
So I think I asked you this before, but how unique is it to be a D tackle, stopping the run on defense, and then turn around and you just running through guys on offense, man? That's incredible.
It actually helps. It helped me on the offensive side of the ball because, like, I know the cutbacks and I know all that stuff. So it helps me. It helps me do better on both sides of the ball.
All right, so I gotta ask you, which one's your favorite, playing D line or running the football?
Running the football.
all big men seem to make that choice, man. I used to want to be a running back, but you know I ain't have real speed, so I ain't have that. Second win on the season, man. You guys got a big game against Olympic, man. What's gonna be the preview for this Friday night?
Just play hard, try our best. We got a lot of guys out, but we got people that wants to step up and actually play. So we're gonna do our best and try to play.
All right, that's good. Talented linebacker Trent Bynum also shouting you out there. He had a pretty good game too, didn't
he? Yeah, number 8, Trent, a dog, bro.
Okay, yeah, I've talked to him before. All right, well, guys, is there anybody you guys want to shout out? Jamarcus, you want to shout out any teammates or anything like that?
The whole defense, O-line, like Coach said, Daniel Carter, he had a big play, got me in the end zone. Jacob Banks, Jacob, one of them ones. That's probably it.
All right. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys coming on between the lines and getting a little bit of much deserved love. And once again, I'm glad the trophy's on the right side of Allegheny. And appreciate the time tonight.
For sure.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. All right, that was Coach Cunningham, and that was Jamarcus Harrison, two standout guys for the Hardin Rams. The big victory over Berry in the Battle of Allegheny, picking up their second win on the season. So, congratulations to the Rams for getting that done. All right, so we're gonna change the kind of format of the show tonight. We're gonna start out with shout outs, but we're gonna do them off of Max Preps. So we're gonna put this on the screen and talk about that. There we go. Okay, so let's go back to last Friday. A lot of games. We talked about them on not between. I'm getting my shows mixed up. On Football Focus Week. Oh my gosh. What's my other show? Friday Night Live. We talked about games on Friday Night Live on Saturday morning because we were kind of way off schedule. So I wanted to shout out some teams who played well. Country Day, 37-0 over Metro Christian, bouncing back after their first loss over Cannon last week. Played very well. Let's see here. Butler getting a shutout against North Mech. The first game on their turf. Butler, if you didn't know, Butler High School has new turf now, and it looks really great out there. I'm hoping to get over there and see it before the season ends. But shouting out and let's shout out Butler head coach Brian Hales. It's his birthday, and he's one of the best in the business, and I want to give him that shout out as well. A great game down in Union County. Porter Ridge defeated Marvin Ridge 23-21. Important win for them. Got to shout out Sun Valley also. And really, really impressive road victory, 21-0 over Charlotte Catholic. Sun Valley defense really playing well over the past couple of weeks. And going into the season, we thought that they were a contender in 6A, and it's starting to bear out right there because Catholic, a lot of people thought they were a state title contender in 6A, and Sun Valley goes in there and shuts them out, which is really impressive. We got to shout out Mountain Island with their 1-point victory over Union Academy. Coach Dubs won a couple games in a row now, and the Raptors are getting hot at the right time, heading towards the end of the season, get ready to go into the playoffs. Davie County, second tough loss for Statesville in a row, but Davie County getting a big win at home, 22-7 there. Have to shout out South Stanley. This game was a shocker. North Stanley came into this game undefeated, and from what people tell me, they have owned this county rivalry over South Stanley over the past couple of years. And South Stanley just blows them out 40-0. And I remember when we talked about it on Friday Night Live on Saturday, I said I had to check the score to make it, make sure it's right. And it is. I have someone send me pictures and video from this game that I want to get out there at some point because this was a really big win for this program. Their head coach, Terry Schenkel, sent me a couple of standouts from this game. And you might see him on Pet Man Players, but he said Josiah Holt, their receiver, had 7 catches for 105 yards and 2 interceptions, including a pick 6. Jaden Woods had 5 tackles, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery, touchdown, and then 2 catches for 70 yards. So they had some important guys step up for a big win for that program. 2 more right here. West Rowan over East Rowan in a great game. East Rowan was leading this game 27-7 going into, I believe, late third quarter. And West Rowan finds a way to put 35 on the board. That is incredible. Olympic staying undefeated in conference play with a 3-point win at West Cabarrus. I believe the kicker, Fernando Zelaya, hit the game-winning field goal. And that might be a Pet Man player right there. A couple more to shout out. Hickory Ridge with a comeback victory over Cox Mill, which was impressive. Good win for them, for sure. Charlotte Latin remaining undefeated. They got a big game. They are undefeated. They're going to play Providence Day this week, and that is a huge one for that program to see where they are. Shout out Charlotte Latin for really playing some good football so far this season. Stuart Kramer bouncing back from the tough loss to Burns we were at 2 weeks ago, shutting out West Lincoln. Cherryville getting a nice win over East Gaston right there. That's definitely deserves a shout out for that program. I believe Cherryville's over 500. This is the first time they're over 500 this late in the season in a long time. There's one more shout out I want to do. Well, of course, we got to acknowledge Ashbrook 43-7 over Kings Mountain. We'll talk a lot about that on the big show tomorrow. But the other shout out is Highland Tech, the same team that lost 90-0 to Shelby, goes out and gets a victory over Bessemer City 15-12 on Friday night. And that's got to feel great. For the head coach and for those kids, man. That's good stuff right there. All right. We got a couple comments sitting in the bucket. Karen Belt, good to see you as always. And then Coach Cunningham shouting out Miss Dowd, who shouted him out earlier. So good stuff right there in the comments. All right. I've been promising that we were going to take a look at RPI. Oh, well, wait, before I do that, I almost forgot. Lincolnton over Shelby. Oh, my goodness. 35-34. What a game in overtime. Lincolnton goes for 2 and gets it, man. And it is really impressive victory. And we said on this show that this game was going to be high scoring and it could, really come down to the end. And it really did, man. So I had to get that one in there because, talking to our guy, Shaquan, he went to see Charlotte Latin and Cannon for his highlights. He said he should have went. I tried to tell him to go to Shelby and Lincolnton, but he didn't want to listen to me. But that's our shout out segment for this edition of Between the Lines. So Karen Belt, of course, wants to shout out those Patriots. Big win over Chambers, 41-7. We'll talk more about that on the big show tomorrow night. But we're going to switch because I've been promising you guys that we were going to talk about the RPI and see where teams are ranked as we get closer to the playoffs. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up the state RPI rankings, and I'll talk about those for a few minutes. So if you haven't seen them yet, this will be a good time to see, where your favorite teams stack up and if they are going to make the playoffs, or if they are on the outside looking in. So we're going to pull that up on the screen. All right, so we're starting in 8A. 8A is the biggest classification in the state, and it has a number of Charlotte schools. Now, keep in mind, with the RPI system, the top seeds in 8A, some of them are going to have byes, and I've got to get the exact playoff bracket breakdown because I want to tell you the right thing here. Let's see here. And normally I would have had this stuff ready, but I've been pretty busy. I've been pretty busy, man. There's a lot going on. But you see on the screen, Huff at the number 1 overall seed right now in 8A, being undefeated, and they're being supported because their conference is doing pretty well because they have a 6-1 South Meck team in there, and they also have Myers Park in their conference, who is sitting there with only 1 loss at 6-1. So because those two teams are doing so well, that has actually helped Huff's RPI. And going into the season, a lot of people didn't think that conference was going to be that strong. So they thought, Huff might, not have a chance at the number 1 overall seed. But here they are right now, sitting pretty. Now, the other side of that is they got to play Myers Park and South Meck, of course, here coming down to the end of the season. But the hope is for them, if they're able to defeat both Myers Park and South Meck, and those other 2 teams win out, which, they necessarily can't because Myers Park and South Meck haven't played. But you have 3 strong teams in your conference with pretty good records that, is going to help their RPI right there. So the RPI is the last column right here, okay? And it's calculated on a 40-20-20 scale. So basically what that means is it's a formula. They take 40% of your winning percentage, then they take 20% of your opponent's winning percentage, and then they take another 20% of your opponent's winning percentage, okay? And they average that all together, and then that becomes your RPI score, okay? So that's how that works. That's how the whole playoffs are seeded, okay? It's all based on RPI. Doesn't matter where you finish in the conference anymore. It's all about your RPI, okay? So Huff would be number 1 right now. Mallard Creek locally is at number 5, Myers Park 6, West Charlotte 8, South Meck at 12, Palisades 15, Providence 16, Argykill 17. On down, Chambers at 24. They are helped because they're in a strong conference right now. East Meck 27. Let's see, Geringer's there and that at 31. Okay. All right. So the way this works is for 8A, they're going to take the top 24. Okay. They're going to take the top 24 teams and they're going to split them east and west. Okay. And then once they do that, they'll go from there and seed from the top all the way down to the bottom. The tough thing is you don't know where that line falls based on, who's qualifying for the playoffs. Right now, Chambers is the last team in the field at 24. Okay. You feel all right about that because you see their RPI right there is 0.49. The next closest is 0.45 from a 1-6 Northwest Guilford team. But you got to look out because these things can change really quickly. Like you see East Meck down here. They get another win or two that could boost them up a little higher. And that might be, out of those teams, that might be the only threat for Chambers right now in that last spot. So it's real interesting. It's real interesting to watch and see who could be, ranked higher, who could move down. It's still a couple weeks. A lot of things could change with one loss. And then depending on what those other opponents do, man, the math can get funny. We know in Charlotte how the math can go with working out toward the end of the season. I'll tell you, one year, Harding went 6-4, and they were in the playoffs before games started the last week of the season on Friday night. They blew out Berry in the Battle of Allegheny. They get to 6-4, and then wake up on Saturday morning, they were out of the playoffs. In this era, this was 2019, I believe, their last winning season. So yeah, it can change and really be a big deal, man. Jonathan Mitchell also sharing that Huff's non-conference schedule opponents are doing very well. Yeah, that's another factor. That's another factor too. So scheduling tough opponents. As you see, they're powered by the opponent's winning percentage, 0.68. You see is pretty high right there. Only bested so far by West Charlotte at 0.69. That's 20% of your RPI formula. So playing a tough schedule will definitely help overall with your RPI, and it's doing a real good job for Huff right now as they sit number 1. Kim, good to see you as always. I'm not going to hold it against you that you were late. It's all right. All right. So that's what 8A looks like right now. We'll jump to 7A and we'll take a look at them. So right now you see in 7A, number 1 team is Cleveland. That's up in the Raleigh area. Of course, there's another Raleigh school at Cardinal Gibbons is number 2. And then locally, we got Weddington at 3, Independence at 7. Let's see here. Davie, well, that's not really local. Lake Norman at 12, Mooresville 13, Someone was asking me, why is Mooresville below Lake Norman and Davie County? Well, if you look at the numbers, they're all very similar. They all have the same record. Okay. Opponents winning percentage, close to similar. And then the opponents winning percentage is similar. So they're all really close. I mean, we're talking about look at the difference right here. We're all at 0.65, and it's literally, what is that? 3/10,000ths of a point. Mooresville's behind Lake Norman. And what's that? 100, less than 100 hundredths of a point behind Davie County. So you can see this math really gets deep in trying to calculate this stuff. They're going to the 4th and 5th decimal places to create separation here between 3 teams all in the same conference in Davie County, Lake Norman, and Mooresville. I mean, that's crazy. I don't think I've seen that kind of separation in the RPI ever right now. Let's see. Butler at 17, Porter Ridge 18. Let's go down. A.L. Brown at 28. Let's see. Marvin Ridge 31. West Cabarrus 37. There's North Meck at 43. So we go all the way down through here. They're going to take the top 48 in 7A and split them east and west. Now, we get down to it. Look who 48 is. Hopewell at 2-5. But you see who 49 is. West Meck. 0-7. But look at that opponent's winning percentage. 80. Look at that, man. That is the driver. They have played a very tough schedule. I think about their non-conference. I believe they played Ashbrook non-conference, which is obviously going to boost that. And they played some other good teams as well. So they have a shot at 0-7 of making the playoffs. As crazy as it sounds, there used to be a 4-win minimum requirement. That doesn't exist anymore, to my knowledge. So they can get into playoffs, theoretically. And not win a game. That is something. But that's the credit of playing a really, really hard schedule. And look at it. It is really high. It's not even close to their surrounding teams. Like, you looked at that, and then Cox Mill is at 37 compared to 80. That's the difference, man. That's the difference. And that's not, necessarily anyone's fault. Yeah, they did play West Charlotte non-conference. Yep, they sure did. That's another rival game. So playing those hard games is, paying off from the RPI standpoint for them, where they've got a shot. If they can find a way to win a game or two, they can get in. They can get in, man. But you see Cox Mills on that line. Hickory Ridge with the big win over Cox Mills put them, with a shot, to get to that 48 spot. So that's what we got there. All right. Let's go to 6A and take a look at that. That's where most of our teams are: 6A, 7A, 8A. So in 6A, the number 1 team is out east. Jacksonville's out on the coast. And then that Watauga team from the mountains is always tough. They're up there. Locally, Ashbrook, number 4. Charlotte Catholic, 6. Let's see here. Kings Mountain, 12. There's Dudley, if our Dudley guy's still here, at 15. They bounced back from a rough start, which is good stuff. Olympic at 21. Sun Valley, 22. We just talked about them. Statesville at 25. Central Barris at 41. Okay. And then that's, Piedmont just outside at 49, just outside the playoffs. So once again, in 6A, they'll take the top 48, split them east and west, and then play the playoffs. Harding at 51 still has a shot there. Not too far out. But yeah, so once again, we talk about it. You see how many teams are making the playoffs, and it's always that was one of the things that people said about the new playoff system, that too many teams would get into playoffs, but at the same time, that's what was voted for. Some of the people think that makes more money for the state, which it does, because you got the state endowment that gets their cut off of playoff games. But I think it's good. You get more teams involved that stay in it and still have a shot, going in toward the end of the season. And hey. One thing that we'll talk about as time goes on and we get closer to the playoffs is, buys. Some of the top teams will get buys in some of these brackets, like 8A, for example, and the effect that that buy can have. I talk about this all the time, but in 2017, Harding had a buy in their state playoff run, and when they played their first playoff game against Porter Ridge after that bye. They were not their normal selves, and they won that game, but it wasn't their normal dominant fashion. They won 17-10, and that was probably the hardest game of their playoff run, was playing off of that bye, trying to get back in the rhythm when that other team they play, is coming off fresh off a big victory, and they're in rhythm. So, buys are tricky. You can get healthy, but you can also kind of lose your edge a little bit. So, that'll be something to watch as we get into the playoff brackets and then start breaking that down and first round matchups, and you start looking at potential upsets and then, all that stuff. So we're a couple weeks away from that, but we're getting close. All right. We're going to jump over to our deep dive. And once again, we're going to use Max Preps for that tonight. So I'm going to get that back on the screen here, and we're going to talk through some of those games here tonight. As soon as I get it up there, well, no, y'all bear with me. I don't know why my screen is acting like this. Let's see here. There we go. All right. Well, a lot of big games. A lot of these games we're going to talk about on the big show tomorrow night, Football Focus Weekly, but we'll talk about some important games here. Of course, Porter Ridge getting ready to take on Weddington. That's an important conference game. Weddington has been absolutely rolling. We'll see if Porter Ridge has something for them that can slow them down. Cox Mill, West Cabarrus. This is a big game in the Greater Metro Conference. West Cabarrus coming off their first conference loss to Olympic, and Cox Mill trying to come back from a tough loss to Hickory Ridge. That might be a loser leave town match based on the RPIs that we just looked at. Same thing for A.L. Brown, Hickory Ridge. If Hickory Ridge is able to get a win there, that's really going to help their RPI chances. And then A.L. Brown trying to build off of their win that they got over Central Cabarrus last Friday. Important matchup here, Charlotte Country Day and Charlotte Christian. And then Charlotte Latin and Providence Day. These are conference games in the private school ranks, and these are big, big games, especially Latin Providence. They will get to see where Latin is and how they stack up against one of the highly ranked teams in our rankings, of course, in the Providence Day Chargers. Let's see here. A game that we might attend, Corvian going on the road to play Community School of Davidson. This is a really, really important game in this conference. I think the winner of this game has a good shot of being a conference champion. So we might be at this game. We haven't decided where we're going yet. I can tell you that our guy Shay Shottam is going to be at East Lincoln and Hickory, which should be an absolute barn burner. If you like offensive football, that game has a potential to be 56-53. That is going to be incredible up there. J-Man, good to see you, man. As always, appreciate you checking us out, man. South Meck and Huff are playing a huge game in the Greater Charlotte conference. These conference names, I'm still learning. But South Meck has won 6 in a row after a week 1 loss to Charlotte Catholic, while Huff has remained undefeated on the year. Both of these teams are solidly in the playoffs, like we talked about. Just going through the RPIs there. But it's going to be really interesting to see how South Meck, kind of stacks up against Huff. I think South Meck has a good energy going, a good team vibe going with them. They've embraced playing all their games on the road as their school has been under construction, all season, and they won't be able to play a home game at all because of that. And they're having one of their best years under Joe Evans. So, I know one thing. They're going to go in there with full confidence and let it hang out. And we'll see. We'll see how it stacks up. Let's see. West Charlotte going over to play Butler on the new turf. It'll be interesting to see how that game plays out. A very important game. This is a conference game for first place. We have Providence going over to play Palisades. Providence undefeated in conference play so far, and Palisades is as well. And this is a game to watch. This is a game to watch. I've been told that there's going to be some fireworks in this one. We'll talk about that more on the big show tomorrow, Football Focus Weekly. North Stanley trying to bounce back from that tough loss going against North Rowan. Chambers and North Meck. This is a old school rivalry going all the way back to the Vance North Meck days. So that'll be an interesting game to see how that goes. I'm really interested to see who pulls that out because we just talked about it. Chambers being in that last playoff spot, and then North Meck trying to get a shot to go back to 500 here. That's gonna be a really, really interesting game right there. On down the line here, we got Mooresville, Davie County should be interesting to watch. We'll see if Davie County can get another big win at home. Let's see, Charlotte Catholic trying to bounce back from the shutout and playing Marvin Ridge at home. On down the line here. Let's see. That might be all of our interesting. Oh, no, they're not. Of course, we'll talk about this one on the big show tomorrow night, Mallard Creek and Independence. That is a huge, huge conference game right there between both of those teams. West Charlotte's defeated both of them, so this is kind of a game for second place in the conference. I think this one is definitely going to be one of the top games of the evening. I think Independence played their most complete game of the season last week in defeating Chambers in an impressive fashion. So let's see. Mike Eddy's saying, are any of the games limiting tickets? I don't know why this is a thing, man. I really don't know why this is a thing. Not to get on my soapbox again, but now we're at the point of having to go and try and find out if a game is limiting tickets or not. I think the best way to check, Mike, I'm going to try to look at it now while we're on. I'm going to go to GoFan because that's how I saw it last week when I was looking up the Harding game. And publicly last week, they said they were only limiting one game, but obviously that wasn't the case. So we're going to type up Independence, and we're going to click on that game to buy tickets. Right now, they still have tickets for the game. There's no alert on here right now. So I don't think so. We can also look up Butler because I know you're a West Charlotte fan. We'll see if they come up with an alert. There's a ton of Butlers in here. I'm trying to find Butler in Charlotte. So I'll type in Butler Bulldogs. There we go. Okay. And we're gonna go down. Oh, the West Charlotte Mighty Lions. That's how they are in here. That's funny. No, there's no limit right now on Butler West Charlotte either. So um, we'll see. We'll see. Check back on Friday. Now, I don't know when they put the alerts out, but right now, both of those two games have no restriction. Um, AJI saying, love to go to that game. Oh, well, CMS restriction rule, greatest takeaway of high school football atmosphere in the country. Yeah, that's a disappointing thing, man, because that, I was telling Brandon about, possibly going to Harding Berry. That was the disappointing thing. And I still, when I saw it on the stream, it still sounded like a pretty good crowd. But those games are the biggest atmospheres those two teams will see typically, just because of the real rival between the schools. And when you limit it for the rivals, it's really disappointing. Just like Independence West Charlotte, would have easily been a sellout, and they could have made, not only they could have made a ton of money, but it would have been really great memories. Because I still think about the times we had big games back when I played, and look back and the crowds, and playing up at A.L. Brown when there's 10,000 people up in Kannapolis, and all the green and all that, playing up in Concord when they're selling out Bailey Stadium. And those are cool things. Those are cool things, man. And we're robbing kids of those special experiences, and it's sad, man. It's really sad. It really is. Let's see, other big games this week. There's that Hickory East Lincoln I was talking about that our guy Shay Shotton will be at. We'll get down to the end here. Kings Mountain South Point will definitely be one to watch. We'll see if Kings Mountain can bounce back after the tough loss they suffered to Ashbrook. Lincoln Stewart Kramer, I think, will be interesting. We'll see if Lincoln has a bit of a hangover after the big win over Shelby, and then Stewart Kramer coming off the win over West Lincoln. Our Clover guy Marty Bird will be here to talk about that against Indianland, who's undefeated down in the upstate. Coach Hastings and those guys doing a great job down there. Yeah, well, that's it. So there's a number of really good games this Friday night. So make sure to get your tickets early. Go out there and support your school, because they really need it. To Karen's point, Independence can use the funds for all the sport because it's senior night on Friday night. I hope not. Man. Because we got parents missing games, and man, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. I do want to share one thing about this show. This will be the last Between the Lines show of the season. I really wanted to do it just for the regular season to kind of talk about more teams and go deeper, because we don't have as much time on Football Focus Weekly. But as we're getting down toward the end of the season, we're going to narrow our focus to more of the teams that we talked about in RPI that are in the playoff race, and our coverage will kind of reflect that. So this will be the last Between the Lines show of 2025 season. I know a lot of people really love that we do 3 shows a week, but we're getting down to the end. So we kind of identify the teams that we need to kind of focus a little more attention on. So one last thing I do want to share, and I'm going to try to get it on the screen here, because I announced it right before the show, and I'm going to get it back up on the screen here. Y'all bear with me. Let's see here. So we just announced our CFI, and I was trying to make that bigger, but we just announced our CFI Carolina's Winter Showcase Saturday, December 13th at Rocky River High School. It is only $99. I made a post the other day. There's a little bigger. I just made a post the other day there's 2 local camps that are $229 for the early bird price and $329. Those 2 camps are going in December. It is completely asinine to charge high school kids that kind of money for a one-day camp. I don't care what you offer. That is absolutely crazy. Our price is only $99, and we have guaranteed college coaches attending in person. We have had that for every one of our camps and showcases. You see on the screen, those are the schools out of the Carolinas. Those are the schools that have attended multiple showcases in our past. I wanted to highlight those in particular. We'll have college coaches in person once again. If you have a player, especially class of 26 and 27, who needs to be seen in front of college coaches to help their recruiting exposure and potentially gain an offer, please be at this showcase. I cannot tell you how many guys got exposed at our spring mega showcase, got offers, double-digit kids got offers from our spring mega showcase. We have the proof in the pudding, okay? It's not a bunch of BS. It's not a money grab. I have had people tell me that I could charge legit $250 and be justified to attend our showcases because of what we offer. We offer not only college coaches in person the opportunity to speak with college coaches at the conclusion of the camp. You guys, and I know I'm preaching to the choir because you're watching the show, but parents and players have to understand how rare of an opportunity that is to go out and perform in front of college coaches and get a chance to sit there and talk with them at the showcase for the price that we are offering. That's the part I want to stress. Okay. I can tell you there are national companies, that will do tours on college campuses, offering those camps for that $329 price and make money. Because in other places, there's not a CFI. There's not another option. And, we do this because we want to give our kids the best chance and the best, opportunity to go play college football, if that's what you want to do. Okay. Younger kids, I encourage you guys to sign up as well. You need to get the experience of going through these camps, because when it becomes camp season and you want to go somewhere, you'll know what to expect. Okay. And in the winter, it's a good time to do that. All right. You're still relatively fresh off the season. You're still in shape. You might be playing, basketball or getting ready to run indoor track or, whatever it might be. Getting your name out there on a list could take you a lot of places that you don't expect to go. Okay. I'm telling you, you can look on our website, and I need to update it from the past season, but we have had hundreds of players come through our camps, get exposure, and it takes them to bigger places. I shout out one of my favorite guys who came to our camp literally for 5 years, Turbo Richard, the running back up in Boston College, played at Northwestern in Rock Hill, came to our camp starting in 8th grade. He just graduated from 8th grade in summer and started coming to our camps. And, he started getting his name out there. He actually started as a receiver, switched to running back. And even when he committed to Boston College, he still came to the camp to compete, just to compete. Like, he already had his offer. He was committed and everything. I said, "Are you sure you want to come out here?" He's like, "Yeah, man. I love you guys. You guys put me out there." So, it's story, and I could tell stories like that all day long, man. That's what we're here for. We're here to expose these kids, to get them in front of the right people and the right names. I can tell you just in the spring, Xavier Porter from West Charlotte came to the spring camp, got his first offer at our spring camp, and it just exploded for him. He got double-digit offers, ended up committing to Elon, who's on that flyer right there, who was at our spring camp, who offered him after seeing him at the spring camp. Plenty of legit evidence of people getting connected with college coaches. Another one right here. Chris Hawk, coach at Concord University, he was on the flyer right there. Yeah, coach, I was gonna start reaching out to you guys tomorrow. Concord had the whole staff at the spring showcase, offered several kids based off of what they saw at the spring showcase. And Chris Hawk is one of those guys, man, who's going to make sure that our guys here in the Charlotte metro area get seen. Their head coach has told me that Charlotte is the base of their recruiting and that our showcase they will always be at because of that. So when the college brings their whole staff to the showcase, I mean, that I don't know what else to say, man. I say it every year. This showcase, I mean, it always does eventually sell out, but this showcase, when we release it, we should have 20 people a day signing up if you're serious about wanting to play college football. And I don't know what else I need to do. Maybe I need to take pictures of the college coaches and put them all out there. Maybe, I don't know if people don't believe us or what. Y'all tell me. Because if we had this when I played in the late 90s, you know what we had to do in the late 90s? We had to drive. It was me and 4 of my teammates and our head coach and another parent who was an assistant coach. We drove from Charlotte all the way to Atlanta for the Nike Combine. And they literally had 800 kids out there at the Atlanta Falcons practice facility outside of Atlanta. I believe it was Flowery Branch, Georgia, suburb. And what we did, we got on the bench. I was actually the first lineman in the camp to bench. And then Sports South, you old heads remember, Sports South was covering the camp. And the guy went after me on the bench. I think I did 225 18 times. No, 185 18 times. And I felt good. I was pumped up, man. The guy that went after me, this huge lineman from Tennessee, did 185 like 42 times. It made me look like crap. And he ended up having the highest reps of the day. And they're showing him on Sports South. And I was standing behind the guy on camera. And they're showing him when they showed highlights of the camp. And I'm like, my goodness, are you serious? But we did the bench. We got one set of bench reps. We did one agility drill. We ran the 40 once. And then we did a broad jump. And that was it. It wasn't even a camp. It was a combine. They had 800 kids out there in the late 90s, man. In Atlanta, there was nothing in the Carolinas. Nothing. So I say all that to say, please take advantage of the opportunity. And I see you guys, saying some nice things, in the comments and sharing some experiences. And I'll put those up in a second. But I'm telling you, man, if you know some kids who really need the exposure, and they need the opportunity, this is it. Don't pay $229 for an early bird, or when that early bird price jumps to $350, and I can send you this stuff on links if you want to see it. And I'm not lying to you. It's asinine. Or don't pay $329. Don't do that, man. Don't do that. You got the same thing, or even better, right here for $99, man. And I'm telling you, I do this, and I don't make, I should make CFI a nonprofit. I really should, because that's basically what it ends up being, man. I was telling somebody that earlier today. I don't do this to get rich. These other guys, man, you guys, and the ones watching this probably know, but there's a lot of stuff out here that people run as a business, and football camps is one of them. And if you really want to run it like a business, you can, and then squeeze you for every penny. And there's some things out here that do that, but CFI is not that. It's not. It's college coach right here talking to you. OL, D-line, DBs need to be there in full force. And so they're telling you they're going to be there, and that's what they're looking for. Right from the horse's mouth right there. Right here. All the parents need to have the kids out there at this camp. FCS, D2, D3, JUCO. Yep. Lewisburg College, a JUCO, the only true JUCO in North Carolina. They came to the spring showcase. They'll probably be back. We have D3s that come, D2s, FCS. They're right there they're on the page in front of you. They're on the page in front of you, man. Let's see, Lindell Porter. Salute for you guys for putting on the showcase. Might be the basic opportunity. Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this ties right into the Queen City Senior Bowl too, because these same coaches that come to this camp right here, the next week is Queen City Senior Bowl practice. And they'll come to that too, even in more bigger force. And I get on them because I'm like, man, I just had a showcase. Where were you? But sometimes schedules don't work out. Queen City Senior Bowl practice during the week when those guys, are working a little bit more, so it works out. But let's see, James Johnson is saying, giving many examples of why you need to keep doing what you're doing. What do you see? I made a post on Facebook where I was questioning if this will need to keep going, and that's still a decision process. But I appreciate what you're saying there, James. Appreciate it. I hope your son feels better soon, man. His son had a tough season into injury. Talented player. Coach Cunningham, who we had on earlier, went to the same type of Nike Spark camp with Georgia Tech. Yeah. Oh, VHS. Oh, good Lord. Yes. See, people don't understand. People don't understand. That was a whole deal. There was no huddle back in the 90s. You had to do a lot of physical work to try to cut a tape up and get it out there, boy. And then hope that whoever's filming will film it right. Oh, man. Oh, the memories. Oh, memories. I was recruited by Johnson C. Smith, Methodist, Davidson. I didn't go play because I got hurt my junior year. And, doctors told me if I got hurt again, it'd be really bad with my legs. So I stopped playing after that and just started coaching. But it was a different time, man. It was a different time. All right, y'all. I started telling stories. Get off of here. I appreciate everybody watching tonight on Between the Lines. Like I said, this is the last Between the Lines of the season. Football Focus Weekly will go all the way through the Queen City Senior Bowl, so you'll still see us through the end of mid to end December. Appreciate everybody being a part of the show. If you missed Coach Cunningham and running back to Marcus Harrison from Harding earlier, as soon as this ends, you can go back and watch those interviews. Appreciate them being a part of Between the Lines tonight. And I appreciate everybody who made Between the Lines really cool on Tuesday nights, man, to get deeper into talking about these high school football programs across the Charlotte metro area. We'll see you tomorrow night on Football Focus Weekly. Because this is the last Between the Lines, we're going to end the show with the theme song, which I love. Actually, you know what? I'm going to let y'all hear that 80s version I used to talk about. Here's the 80s version of the theme song. I'm going to just let it play, and then we'll be done here. Let me make sure this is it. 1980s CFI right here. Oh boy. You want to start head banging, don't you? What do they call this? I forget what they call this music. Like it, don't you? Oh man, I had enough yet. All right, it goes on like that for a while. All right. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it, Sweetie Sloan. I've never seen you comment before. Appreciate that. Thank you, Karen. We'll see y'all tomorrow night on Football Focus Weekly. Appreciate it.